Key one at Stoic: ever find yourself lying awake at night or wandering through your day, wondering if the person you're with is truly the right one for you? It might start as a fleeting thought, something that crosses your mind when the initial spark of excitement fades, or during quiet moments when you're alone with your feelings. You might try to brush it off, thinking that every relationship has its ups and downs. But deep down, you know there's something more. That doubt isn't just a passing feeling. It's something worth exploring. Love is complicated, messy, and raw. It's vulnerable and sometimes painful, but it shouldn't feel like a constant struggle against your own emotions. There's a significant difference between navigating the normal challenges that every relationship faces and forcing yourself to stay in something that doesn't align with who you truly are. Yet, so many of us cling to relationships that don't feel quite right, not because we're happy, but because we fear the alternative. Let's be real for a moment. Recognizing the signs that you're in the wrong relationship isn't easy. It takes courage to honestly reflect and ask yourself the hard questions. But when you do, you reclaim your power. You start to value your own peace, your goals, and your growth. Today, let's talk about those signs, the ones we tend to ignore or mask with excuses. This isn't just about clarity for the moment. It's about empowering you to make confident decisions about your life and your relationships. Walking on eggshells is one of the first signs. If you're always walking on eggshells, afraid of saying the wrong thing, it's time to reflect on whether you're truly experiencing love or just fear. Emotional safety is the foundation of any healthy relationship. Without it, love can start to feel like a game of survival, where every word you say is weighed and every tone is questioned. Think about it. Have you ever found yourself hesitating to bring up a simple issue? Maybe it's a habit that bothers you, a small miscommunication, or even just setting a boundary. Yet, as you try to bring it up, your heart races, wondering how they'll react. Will they get defensive? Will they ignore your feelings or twist the conversation around so that you're the one apologizing? This isn't love. This is self-preservation. A healthy relationship isn't a courtroom where you have to argue for your right to feel heard. It's a place where you can express yourself authentically without fear of judgment or ridicule. This brings us back to the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius, who said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Emotional safety starts with you. While you can't control your partner's reactions, you can control how you respond to their behavior. If their actions repeatedly disrupt your peace, it's worth questioning why you're allowing that pattern to continue. Love doesn't demand that you shrink yourself or silence your needs just to keep the peace. Real love allows you to be vulnerable and free to express your feelings, even when they might lead to difficult conversations. If you're constantly suppressing your voice, your boundaries, or your needs to avoid conflict, you're trading your emotional health for a temporary sense of stability. And that's a dangerous trade. The mismatch of values and goals is another critical red flag. What happens when the person you love has an entirely different vision of the future than you do? Love can feel intoxicating, often tricking us into thinking that it can fix anything. But the truth is, no amount of love can rewrite someone's life script. If your core values and goals are pulling you in different directions, it's like trying to build a house with two separate blueprints. It simply won't work. Think about your own dreams. Maybe you've always wanted to travel the world, embrace adventure, and explore new cultures. But your partner might be focused on settling down, buying a house, and creating a more predictable life. Or perhaps you're driven to build something big in your career, while they prioritize a slower, simpler pace. These aren't just surface-level differences. These are essential parts of who you are. Compromise can be healthy in relationships, but when it comes to your big dreams, compromise quickly turns into sacrifice. And over time, resentment begins to build. Not because you don't love each other, but because you're forced to choose between who you are and who they want you to be. Think of relationships as a journey. You're both boarding the same train, But if your destinations are vastly different, the journey becomes impossible. One of two things will happen. Either one of you will give up your dreams to stay on the same path, or you'll continue traveling together while one of you feels lost, as if you're moving further away from the life you envisioned. In either case, there's no true fulfillment. This isn't to say that all relationships with differences are doomed, but rather that we need to be honest about whether those differences are fundamental and whether we're willing to navigate them. Your peace and personal growth shouldn't be sacrificed for the sake of staying in a relationship that doesn't nurture those things. When you recognize the signs that you're in a relationship that doesn't align with who you are, you're not just acknowledging discomfort. You're giving yourself the space to choose what's best for your life. And that requires courage. The good news is, every step you take toward protecting your peace brings you closer to the kind of relationship you deserve. One built on trust, respect, and the freedom to be your authentic self. After all, isn't that the kind of love you're worthy of? Key 1. Stoic in any relationship. It's crucial to understand that while you and your partner may have different personalities, interests, and ways of seeing the world, what truly holds a relationship together is the alignment of your core values. Think of it like the foundation of a house. It might look different on the outside, but if the core is solid, the house stands strong. When it comes to key life aspects like family, career, lifestyle, and future goals, you must be on the same page. Otherwise, you risk pulling in different directions, leading to frustration, exhaustion, and eventual disconnection. Have you ever had a conversation with your partner about your long-term goals? Not just vague ideas like, I want to be happy, but concrete, specific visions for your life? Do you both share similar dreams for the future, or are you imagining entirely different paths? These are the tough conversations that matter. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, often advised us to ask, is this necessary? When it comes to relationships, the key question is, are you and your partner genuinely aligned, or are you simply together because it's easier than facing those difficult questions? Alignment doesn't mean perfection. No relationship is free of disagreements. It means that your values and visions for the future are in harmony, and both of you are willing to work together to make those dreams a reality. To find out if you're truly aligned, start by discussing the big stuff early on, before time passes, and one of you is dreaming of a wedding while the other is picturing a solo adventure around the world. Be open, direct, and compassionate in your approach. Ask the big questions. Where do you see yourselves in 5 years? Do you both want children? What are your top priorities? Career success, adventure, stability. These conversations are essential to understanding if you're both moving toward the same destination. Compromise is inevitable in any relationship, but there's a fine line. Healthy compromise strengthens the bond, but compromising too much, sacrificing who you are just to keep the peace, can be damaging. It's essential to ask yourself, are you truly building a shared vision for the future? Or are you forcing paths to merge that should naturally go in different directions? Now, let's address relationships where it feels one-sided. Love should never feel like a solo journey, where you're the one constantly initiating, planning, and giving emotional support, only to receive little in return. At first, it may seem subtle. You might always be the one texting first or planning special dates. But over time, those small efforts start to feel like they're draining you, while your partner remains disconnected. Love isn't a scorecard, but it should never feel like you're carrying the entire weight. Relationships thrive on mutual effort. If you're constantly giving and not receiving, you're not in a partnership. You're doing emotional labor. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, reminds us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. In a relationship, this means accepting that you cannot force someone to value you or reciprocate the effort you put in. If you find yourself always apologizing when you're not at fault, compromising your dreams, or adjusting your boundaries just to keep the peace, it's time to step back and reflect. These patterns don't appear overnight, but once you recognize them, it's time for change. The solution to a one-sided relationship is honesty, with yourself first and then with your partner. Have open, direct conversations about how you feel without pointing fingers, and make space for change. But if after these honest conversations, you still see no change, it's time to consider whether the relationship is worth holding on to. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control others' behavior, but we can control our response. If staying in the relationship is draining your energy, peace, and sense of self, it might be time to walk away, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Sometimes the greatest act of love is letting go of what's not meant for you. A relationship that feels one-sided will never offer the balance and fulfillment you deserve. The love you deserve is one where both partners meet halfway, every single time. It's not about demanding perfection, but about recognizing your worth and refusing to settle for less. Finally, if you feel like you're shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's world, it's time to ask, are you really in a relationship, or are you playing a role? True love should encourage you to be your authentic self, not force you to suppress parts of who you are. A healthy relationship should inspire growth, not demand that you become someone you're not. At its core, love is about mutual respect, shared values, and the courage to be your true self. Key 1. Stoic, it's all too easy to lose yourself in a relationship, especially when you start adapting to someone else's world, laughing at jokes that don't land, agreeing with opinions you don't believe, or pretending to like things that don't spark any excitement. Over time, the unique qualities that once made you feel confident in who you were, the things that were you, begin to fade away. Why? Because you're afraid they might overwhelm or alienate your partner. Even worse, this can seep into the most vulnerable parts of the relationship. You start hesitating to share how you really feel, whether it's excitement about a new opportunity, frustration about your day, or doubts about where the relationship is headed. You end up censoring yourself, second-guessing everything you say, and eventually, that ease of being yourself slips away. But a healthy relationship should feel like sunlight to a garden. It should nourish you, not stifle you. Think about it. In a thriving garden, every plant has its place. Some are tall and bold, others are small and quiet, but all of them contribute to the beauty of the space. If you forced every plant to look the same or trimmed the ones that grew taller than the rest, the garden wouldn't thrive. It would wither. The same goes for a relationship. Both people should have the freedom to grow individually, while also growing together. Stoicism sheds light on this truth. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. If we replace good man with true self, it highlights the importance of authenticity. Pretending to be someone you're not doesn't just cost you your peace, it cuts you off from your true purpose." Ask yourself this. When was the last time you felt completely comfortable with your partner? Are you hiding parts of yourself to avoid conflict or rejection? Do you feel seen and valued for who you are, or only for a version of you that fits their expectations? These are tough questions, but they're important. Because when you sacrifice your authenticity, you're not creating a real connection. You're building an illusion. And illusions never stand the test of time. Reconnecting with your true self doesn't have to be dramatic. It starts with small, meaningful actions. Rediscover what makes you feel alive, even if it's something your partner doesn't share an interest in. It could be a hobby you've put on the back burner, a type of music you love, or simply speaking your truth without fear of how it will be received. Each moment you express yourself authentically is a step closer to remembering who you truly are beneath the surface. From there, bring your true self back into the relationship. This isn't about confrontation. It's about inviting your partner to meet you where you are. Share your passions, your thoughts, and your vulnerabilities. If they accept and embrace the real you, that's a good sign the relationship can evolve into something deeper, where both of you can flourish. But if they resist or reject your authenticity, it's time to ask, am I building a future with someone who doesn't truly see me? The right relationship isn't about blending into someone else's life. It's about creating a space where both individuals can thrive separately and together. You should never feel the need to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's mold. The person meant for you will appreciate and celebrate the parts of you that shine, even if they're different from their own. Fear is often the force that holds us back in relationships. It whispers, "This might be the best you can do," or it tells you that you'll be alone forever. And so we stay out of fear, out of habit, or because we believe that leaving means failure. Society doesn't help either. We're told that being in a relationship, any relationship, is better than being alone. But is it? It's okay to admit that leaving feels scary. That's a human response. We all crave certainty, even when that certainty comes at the cost of our happiness. But remember, certainty isn't the same as joy. Staying out of fear doesn't create a healthy relationship. It creates a cage. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Are you truly living in this relationship, or are you just surviving? Fear keeps you stuck, but it doesn't help you grow. The truth is, fear is a liar. It magnifies your doubts and shrinks your worth. It tricks you into thinking the unknown is worse than a life spent settling for less than you deserve. So how do you break free? Start by building a support system. Talk to trusted friends, family, or a therapist about your concerns. Sometimes, just expressing your fears out loud helps you realize that they're not permanent realities, just temporary obstacles. Next, focus on personal growth. Reconnect with the parts of yourself that have been put on hold. Pursue hobbies, learn new things, and take actions that remind you of your potential outside the relationship. These small steps are reminders that you're capable of creating a fulfilling life on your own. Recognizing that a relationship isn't right for you is the first step towards something better. If you're hiding parts of yourself or staying out of fear, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself, am I truly happy? Do I feel valued? Is this relationship helping me grow, or is it holding me back? The answers are inside you already. All it takes is the courage to ask the right questions. And remember, the right person won't ask you to shrink. They'll make you feel safe enough to grow. It's time to stop settling. You deserve a love that allows you to be unapologetically you.